Hey everyone, welcome back to Girl Talk. Thank you so much for joining me. As always, before we get started, if you can give me a like, share, a thumbs up, comment, all that other good stuff, I would appreciate it. So I have to tell you guys, I hope you all are proud. I finally kept my mouth shut. Um, it's hard for me to do, but I did it. Actually, I did it because I wanted to see if it would help my voice. And so maybe we're not going to be so voicey and nasally and all that other good stuff. We'll see how far we get today. I even have a little bit of tea with my sugar going on, so hopefully that helps too. We'll see. So, first things first is our quote of the day. And the quote is: Honey, do not let your beautiful mind become a battlefield. Just because someone has shown you their weapons does not mean you have to accept the war. Isn't that the truth? We don't always have to show up to every battle that we're invited to, right? The topic for today um, is about mental health. And it's something that I know is very deep and personal for a lot of people. And it's a very, very tough subject to talk about, but that's why I wanted to talk about it. And I think in order to talk about going forward with mental health, I think we have to kind of go backwards. So, in saying that, when I was growing up, we didn't talk about it. It wasn't something that was said. Um, if you had depression, anxiety, whatever, which we probably all did, we didn't know it. It just wasn't something that was acknowledged. It wasn't something that was talked about. Um, and if you did talk about it, if you went to a counselor or something, it was almost frowned upon, or you were looked at as maybe you had behavioral issues, or maybe you were a problem child, which wasn't the case at all. Kids had stuff going on, and it was just the stigma behind it. And I think that the stigma, I don't know, I think the stigma was worse then than it is now, because there wasn't a lot known about it. There wasn't a lot about there wasn't a lot said about it either. And there wasn't a lot of treatment. It's only within the past, I would say, I don't know, you could go back even 40 years, which, if you look at it in retrospect, it's not that long ago, where if women were on an antidepressant, they were considered shitty parents. The men weren't. Sorry, guys, but it was only the women. Apparently, we couldn't take care of our kids if we were on an antidepressant. Go figure that one out. Um, but you just didn't talk about it. And I feel that, in my generation now, and this is probably the lighter side of mental health and talking about it, yes, we have unhealthy coping mechanisms. We do. If you think about it, the shit that we did and saw, and, you just plowed through life. You just kept going. Um, there was no time for needing therapy. There just wasn't. And again, who are you going to tell that you needed therapy? Um, in saying that, I feel that I'm kind of stuck in that I'm stuck in between two generations, and I see both sides of it. Um, you know, a lot of us with my age, there's shit that we have buried in back of our minds, and for me to go to therapy now would be not good. And the reason that I say that is because I did a video about my father and how toxic he is. And if I were to go to therapy today and they would bring up my childhood and I would have to talk about him, I have dealt with him. Is it the right way? I don't know, because I don't know what the right way is. But I can tell you that how I dealt with it has brought me peace. So, as far as I'm concerned, it worked. Um, that was my goal, was to get peace, and that's what I did, and that's how I dealt with it. Um, but things were put so far back in our heads that to bring it up now would be traumatic. And a lot of us, that's how we dealt with it. We put it in the back of our heads, we forgot about it, or, we one day we were just like, you know what? Bullshit on you. You are done renting a space in my head. You don't belong there. You're living there rent free. Uh, it's time to pay up, or it's time to get evicted. Um, he got evicted. Just saying. Um, in saying that, I do feel that, you know, life is life. Life is not fair. When you go to your employer, you're not going to have a room where you can go in and cry. You're not going to have, that safe place because you can't deal with people or whatever. Well, then you better pick another career. Um, you know, you got to have a little bit of thick skin here. You just kind of do. Not everything's going to go your way, and that's just life. In saying that, and I'm going to go to the other side here, I do think that I don't know if we're seeing a lot more of. I don't know what has changed actually, but we're seeing a lot more of the anxiety and depression and things like that. But I think now it's more socially acceptable, as it should be, to get help. There's nothing wrong with going to a therapist. There's nothing wrong with going to, a doctor. If you think about it, there's no difference if our stomach hurts, or, um, you know, we go to the doctor, right? If we need glasses, we go to the eye doctor. There's no difference if it's a physical ailment or if it's a mental ailment. It's still your body. And it's okay if it's your mind that needs a little help. There's no difference if your stomach needs help, your eyes need help, or your mind needs help. It's part of your body, right? And we shouldn't be ashamed of that. Um, Sometimes you just need to talk, and that's okay. Sometimes you need that antidepressant. I can tell you, I'll be very honest. Um, Story for you. I don't do well driving in snow. I don't like it. I can do it, but not a big fan. But where I used to work, I had to go over a mountain. And on the other side of the mountain, it was not snowing. And when I got to the top, I mean, it was covered in snow. And I came down the other side of the mountain, and I slid. I slid into a ditch. My car was fine. I was fine. And I got out of the ditch and, pulled off to the side of the road. The problem was, while my body was okay, my car was okay, my mind wasn't. Um, my body wouldn't move. I went into an anxiety state that was just awful. And when your body doesn't move because you had that much it was fear. Um, I say anxiety, fear, whatever, but it was terrible when your body literally does not move. Um, and I think when we're anxious like that, that would be like taking somebody's phobia. Uh, My fear is snakes, right? I talked about this before. Don't ever show me one, not even as a joke, because it's not funny. There's nothing funny about it. It's going to piss me off, and I'll probably never talk to you again. And I'm not joking. Like, you don't do that to someone. But the anxiety part, that would be like putting me in a room full of a bunch of snakes and be like, okay, deal with it. Are you kidding me right now? That is not happening. It will never happen. Not in this lifetime. Um, and that is the thing, that if we don't know what it feels like, you know, don't judge what you can't mock something that you have never experienced. And we all get down in the dumps, we all get depressed, and we all get those anxiety ridden moments, but there is a time and there is a place where we have to say, you know what, this is getting a little extreme and out of control, and maybe we need to go get help for it. And that's okay. There is nothing wrong with that. Um, I do know that there's many resources out there that will help. And you can always talk to, even your pastor. If you go to a church, your pastor would be a good person to speak with. Um, Even just if you have a close friend, sometimes you just have to get things off your chest or whatever. Um, don't hold it in though, and don't be afraid to go and talk to a professional. And actually, talking about that, from what I'm hearing, and this kind of really is sad and upsets me a lot. So what I've been hearing is, let's just say for argument's sake that you do want to get into a therapist or somebody like that. It's taking forever, and it shouldn't take that long. um, I think that counseling and psychologists and psychiatric services, they are overwhelmed. um, and that's something that really needs to be looked at, I think. um, because there are a lot of people that are finally reaching out for help and things like that. And I think that when they finally do reach that point, they're at rock bottom or they're on their way. And I think that we can agree with that. Um, it's just like anything else. Again, I'm going to use the stomach thing. You get a belly ache, right? And you're not going to call your doctor the day that your stomach hurts. You're going to be like, okay, maybe I ate something, or whatever. um, you're going to call when you're like, you know what, I this isn't right, something isn't going well here. um, and I think that's the same when we think of our thoughts. When we start having those thoughts, it's like, I don't know, it's getting a little extreme, um, or it's getting constant. These aren't normal thoughts. And, then it's time to reach out. And I do have, I actually looked it up, 988. I don't know if you know this or not, but, and I'm going to read this right off of Google. 988 is the National Suicide and Crisis Lifeline, providing immediate, free, and confidential support for anyone in a mental health, emotional, or substance use crisis. 211 is an information and referral line that connects callers to essential community and social services such as food assistance, housing, utility help, and childcare. Now that's in PA. So depending where you're at, 988 is national. 211, I think that is national. Not sure. Um, Definitely in PA though. But the 988, so that's the mental health and suicide crisis hotline. When to call: thoughts of suicide, severe emotional distress, substance use crisis, or mental health emergencies. What happens when you call? You connect directly with a trained counselor who specializes in de escalation, emotional support, and crisis intervention. And you can call or text 988 and it's available 24/7. The 211, which is the Community Resources and Social Services. When to call: non emergencies where you need help locating essential needs, including housing, rent, utility, food banks, elder care, transportation. What happens when you call 211? You are connected to an information specialist who will provide referrals to local social service agencies. And you can call 211. Neither of those numbers are to be replaced for 911. If you are in an extreme emergency, you are really feeling down in the dumps, whatever, or if you're not sure, bear on the side of caution and call 911, please. We want you to get help as soon as you can. And if that means going to the emergency room, they can get you stable there, and they can get you, into maybe outpatient counseling, maybe into a treatment facility that can help. Could be inpatient, could be outpatient, depending on, what's going on. But the main reason for this, and the reason that I wanted to talk about this, like I said, I don't think it's talked about enough. But it's so much different now than it was before because, again, I think the need for it may be the same, but it's only coming out now, if that makes any sense. It's only where people are like, you know what? I deserve to live a healthy life. And that means your thoughts, and that means your mind, and that means your brain, and that means your mental health. Health is not just physical, and we need to remember that. I can't drive this home enough. I think that when we think of health, we think of our neck down, right? Or we think of our eyes down, because I use the eye doctor as an example. But we need to start realizing that, our mind is very important. When you think about it this way: people get dementia or they get Alzheimer's, and we accept that. We accept that that is a medical condition, right? Well, then why is mental health not considered a medical condition? That would be a good argument for a doctor, I guess, or an insurance company if they don't want to pay for counseling. Well, or if they don't want to pay for inpatient therapy, or if they don't want to pay for outpatient therapy. Well, you can go get an MRI on any part of your body and have it covered, but yet you might have a copay every time you go to counseling. Well, if they want to see you 3 times a week, who can afford that? Or, depending what, if they put you on medication, um, that's another thing. Do they want to cover it? Because there are so many medications out there now. Um, so I do think that a lot of work has been done. I do think a lot more is needed. And I just kind of wanted to get on and just let you know that it's okay to need help. It's okay to ask for help. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with you. You are not broken. You are whole. Um, and I think that we need that new mindset of um, not to be ashamed, not to be embarrassed, and to own it. Bullshit. You know, it would be no different that if I go for a stomach procedure, no, I don't want to do it, but I kind of have to, right? Um, and it may be the same way for your mental health. You may not want to deal with it, but you know that you have to. And I don't want you to be ashamed of that. And I don't want you to even second guess yourself. If you think that you need help, then please get it. Um, and if you're not ready to talk to, like I said, if you're not ready to talk to a professional, that's okay. You can talk to a pastor if you go to church. If you can talk to one of your friends, um, a coworker, a trusted friend, a trusted family member. Just talk. Sometimes that's all you need, because we can get real deep in our thoughts. And we know, depending what we're going through, whether it's a health issue, a divorce, a breakup, a career thing, financial. I mean, there's so many things that we can get stressed out about. And we do. But there's got to be a healthier way to deal with it. And that's kind of where I was going with this. Um, so just be kind to yourself. And if you are in need of help, like I said, it's the 988 number, the 211 number. Those are really good resources. Um, just reach out and don't be embarrassed. And let's see what we can do in the future. Because actually, I'm looking really forward to the future of mental health. And believe it or not, when I was, quick story for you, I always wanted to be a drug and alcohol counselor. And that's something that we're going to have to get into another time because there's actually a debate um, that I want to talk to you about. And you'll see what I mean. Um, Controversial, but we'll see. But I always wanted to be a drug and alcohol counselor until I realized that when you're talking addiction, you're talking a whole different ballgame. And my brother um, passed away from complications from alcoholism. So that was in 2013, and I was already on my own career path and things like that. Now I couldn't do it. It's too personal and it's too close. Um, I wouldn't be able to do it. I would be bringing that home and wondering, oh my gosh, did they leave here and go have a drink? Or I'm giving you the tools. Why are you not listening? And I know from, watching my brother and things like that and watching friends of mine, um, I won't be able to do it. But God love the people that can, because we need them. So I'm excited to see what the future holds for mental health. We've come a long way. We still have a lot of ways to go. But going back, excuse me. Well, my voice almost held up. We almost had it, guys. We're almost at the end here. But looking back, to when I was growing up and things like that, and I told you this before, my grandmother, my mom, they didn't cry. They didn't show emotion. Didn't say I love you. We just knew it. We knew that they loved us and things like that, but they were hard and they were strong. And I think that you can still be very, very strong, but still be what's the word I'm looking for here? You can still be strong, but you can be kind and you can have a gentle side to you. It doesn't mean that you have to have this hard personality all of the time. Does it come in handy? Yes, it does. It comes in handy a lot. Probably a lot more than I would like to admit. Um, but that's just the way it goes. So hopefully going forward, there will be more resources, and as people are going to school for mental health and things like that, there will be more counselors and things out there that people can actually get into these appointments and not have to wait months and months. There's no reason for that. Um, Even if they can do telephone visits, I know that was a big thing during COVID. Bring it back. Instead of having people go, there's people that can't even walk out of their house because they get anxiety. Um, if that's the case, then do it by telephone. Um, but hopefully in the future, we will see, more, more being done for mental health and things like that. So just to end and just to kind of recap, if you need to talk, please reach out. No matter who is to reach out, we need you here. And as the saying goes, I would rather listen to you at 3 o'clock in the morning than attend your funeral. Remember that, guys. Take care, and we'll talk soon. Be safe. Bye.